In the deep unfolding of sacred scripture, there are moments that stand like eternal pillars, not merely for what they meant thousands of years ago, but for what they still say to us now, in this moment, in this generation. Genesis chapter 12 is one such moment. It is not just a historical recounting. It is not merely a religious text. It is a divine call, a pulse, a whisper from eternity that echoes through the chambers of your soul. Genesis 12 introduces us to a man named Abram. But this chapter is not about a man, it is about a movement. A divine shift in human history. A turning point that reveals not only the character of God but the fragile and courageous obedience of humanity. Abram's life, his obedience, his decision to leave everything behind, lays the foundation for something so massive, so eternally significant, that even the very nation of Israel would be birthed from it. Even more, through Abram, the whole world would be touched. God speaks. That is where everything begins. Not with a committee, not with a plan, not with a budget, but with a voice, a command, a divine invitation that demands total surrender. Go from your country, your people and your father's household to the land I will show you. Can you feel the weight of that sentence? Can you imagine standing in Abram's sandals, hearing a voice so pure, so unmistakably divine, calling you to leave the familiar, the safe, the predictable, and step into the unknown? Think of what that meant. Leave your country, your identity, your comfort zone. Leave your people, your friends, your neighbors, your familiar rhythms. Leave your father's household, the inheritance, the safety net, the culture that shaped you. And go, not to a clearly mapped out destination, but to a land God would show him, later. Step out before you know where you're going. Move before you understand. Obey before you see. This is the way of faith. And it is terrifying, because it threatens everything we use to build our sense of safety. We cling to what we know. We grip tightly to our traditions, our neighborhoods, our routines. But faith does not live in the realm of the comfortable. Faith is a fire. It burns. It tests. It calls us out. And that is what God did to Abram. And that is what God may be doing to you. But what follows the command is a promise. 7 promises, actually, each more extraordinary than the last. I will make you into a great nation. That's impossible, right? Abram has no child. His wife Sarai is barren. The math doesn't add up. But God is not bound by human limitations. He doesn't check biology before making promises. When God says something, the impossible bends to his will. I will bless you. There is no qualifier, no condition, just divine favor, unearned and unstoppable. I will make your name great. Not famous like a celebrity, but significant in the annals of eternity. You will be a blessing. Do you see the shift here? God is not only blessing Abram for Abram's sake. God blesses to overflow. Blessings are not to be hoarded but to be released. Through Abram, the entire world would be touched. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse. This is divine protection, a shield wrapped in covenantal love. And then the climax. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. All peoples, every tribe, every tongue, every nation. This was never just about one man, or one family, or one nation. This was about the unfolding of a divine redemption plan for the entire world. But now comes the hardest part. After hearing all these mind-blowing promises, what does Abram do? He obeys, without question, without hesitation, without proof. He doesn't ask for a sign. He doesn't negotiate. He doesn't delay. So Abram went, as the Lord had told him. That sentence might seem small, but it is massive. It is revolutionary. Abram obeys the voice of God without a map, without clarity, and with no fallback plan. What kind of courage does that require? What kind of faith does that demand? This is not a Hollywood faith with special effects. This is raw, rugged obedience in the face of uncertainty. And yet it is exactly this kind of obedience that unleashes the promises of God. Delayed obedience is disobedience. Partial obedience is still rebellion. But Abram models full surrender. And it changes the course of human history. Abram was 75 years old when he set out. Did you catch that? 75. This is not a young man starting his journey. This is a man well into the later years of his life. It is never too late to say yes to God. It is never too late to begin again. Some of you watching this might feel like your best years are behind you. But God's call does not come with an age limit. Your story is not over. Your purpose is not retired. If you are breathing, you are still being called. He takes his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all their possessions. And they set out for Canaan, a land he has never seen, a place he has only heard about from the mouth of God. When he arrives at Shechem, the Lord appears to him again and says, "To your offspring I will give this land." God reveals more as Abram steps forward. That's how it always works. God doesn't show you the full picture until you take the first step. Revelation follows obedience. Clarity follows faith. And what does Abram do? He builds an altar, right there in the land of Canaan. Right there in the middle of pagan territory. Right there surrounded by foreign gods and strange customs. Abram declares his allegiance. He builds an altar to the Lord. This is not just about worship. This is about staking a claim. This is about saying, this place belongs to the Lord. Even when nothing looks like it. Even when no one around him agrees. Abram is planting seeds of faith in foreign soil. Then he moves again, pitching his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. He builds another altar, and he calls on the name of the Lord. This is the rhythm of Abram's life. He walks, he worships, he builds altars, he obeys. This is what it looks like to live a life of faith. Movement, sacrifice, surrender, worship. But then the story takes a sharp turn. A famine hits the land. Wait, what? Didn't God promise to bless him? Didn't God say he would give him this land? And now there's famine. Yes, because God's promises are not a bubble wrap of comfort. They are not a guarantee of ease. Sometimes the land of promise comes with the pain of process. Sometimes blessing still means battle. And Abram, the man of faith, heads to Egypt to escape the famine. And here, we see his humanity. Abram asks his wife Sarai to lie, to say she is his sister so that the Egyptians don't kill him. It is a moment of fear, a crack in the armor, a reminder that even the giants of faith are still human, and yet God still protects him. Even in his fear, even in his mistake, God afflicts Pharaoh's household because of Sarai, and Pharaoh sends Abram away with wealth and possessions. This moment is so crucial, because it teaches us that God's faithfulness is not based on our perfection. It's based on his covenant. On his promise. God does not abandon Abram because of a moment of weakness. He doesn't revoke his promises. He carries Abram through, even when Abram's faith falters. Can you relate to that? Have you ever made a mistake, even while trying to obey God? Have you ever taken matters into your own hands because you were scared? Maybe you've lied, maybe you've manipulated, maybe you've panicked, and maybe you feel like God is done with you. But Genesis 12 whispers a different truth. God still moves, he still protects, he still leads, because his calling is irrevocable. His grace is greater than your failure. Abram comes out of Egypt not defeated, but blessed. And this is the tension of faith. We obey, we stumble, we trust, we fear, we move forward, we fall, and still, God keeps writing our story. Genesis 12 is not just the story of Abram. It's the story of you, of every soul called by God into something greater. It is the pattern of faith that still pulses through the ages. God calls, we respond, he promises, we believe, we stumble, he remains faithful, but the urgency of this story cannot be missed. We are living in times that demand obedience. Our generation is surrounded by noise, distraction, fear, but God is still calling. He is still speaking, and the question is, will we move? Will we leave our comfort zones? Will we step into the unknown? Will we trust the promises of God even when the path is unclear? What if the blessing waiting on the other side of your obedience is greater than anything you've ever imagined? What if your obedience could bless not only you, but generations to come? What if your decision today sets into motion a legacy of faith that will ripple into eternity? Abram's story teaches us that it's not about being perfect. It's about being willing. It's not about knowing the way. It's about trusting the one who does. It's not about being fearless. It's about obeying even in your fear. Because on the other side of obedience is purpose. On the other side of surrender is destiny. And on the other side of your yes is the unfolding of God's eternal plan. So if you hear the voice of God calling you today, don't wait. Don't negotiate. Don't delay. Obey. Move. Go. Step into the promise. Walk by faith, not by sight. And watch what God will do with a life fully surrendered. If this message stirred something in your heart, if you felt a pull toward a deeper faith, a higher purpose, a calling beyond the ordinary, I want to invite you to be part of something greater. Join us here at Shining Truths, where we uncover the eternal treasures hidden in the pages of Scripture. We are more than a channel. We are a movement, a revival of truth in a world hungry for meaning. Subscribe to Shining Truths now. Don't just watch, be transformed. Be inspired, be awakened, because your story, like Abram's, is just beginning. And the world is waiting for your obedience.